All right, everyone, as we witness the insanity that's currently going on, I believe that I am live. However, give me 10 seconds or something as a delay in order to make sure that I actually am. If you use StreamYard, you realize how severe the delay really is. I'm assuming that's for if someone blows their head off on a live stream or something. Bet that'll happen more often now that the economy is going to fall into a depression, but we'll get over it for right now. By the way, Superchats are on. However, I will only be reading some of them. That's by design. There's no other way that I can do it because even with a 300-second live chat delay, if there's going to be, 5,000, 10,000 people watching, it's going to become impossible. And I'm filtering for top chat. If you're saying edgy shit, I can't even see what you're saying right now, and it'll still go crazy. Hans Molman, this is pre-recorded, isn't it? Nope. No, it's live. Although I could get nuked at any time. I like how people say good morning, and here I think it's like, what time is it actually here? I'm in Amsterdam, so it's 2:30. By the way, I sparred last night with that moron that runs Kiwi Farms, and it was really, really funny. I'm just going to get this out of the way first because it's actually funny, unlike the coup that's currently occurring. And he was like, make no mistake, and he's nuked his Twitter, by the way. Sticks moved to Amsterdam because the U.S. is falling. It's funny. I moved to the U.S. when the economy was soaring, unemployment was 4.5%, and coronavirus hadn't even been invented yet. So it shows you the mental adept levels of my critics. I really need better critics. I need a better nemesis. And then I sparred with Jared Holt the other day. By the way, I have decided to nuke my Twitter. I'm no longer using it actively. If you want to follow like the saucy shit posting, I'll be on Gab, Parler, Minds. I'll be doing it on YouTube, of course, as usual. I'm not going to use Twitter, though. They've banned the president of the United States, and that's a bridge too far for me. I'm not interested in Jack Dorsey making another cent off of me. At this point, the only purpose to it is a DM machine. You can message me, like with news tips and stuff. I'll check it like I do email a couple times a day. Perfectly fine. I've lost 5,000, 6,000 followers on there in the last 48 hours. But anyway, I sparred with Jared Holt. Because he was complaining, he was whining. Apparently, he called into NBC News the other day, and he's talking about his research into online extremism, which means his bullshit write-ups that he self-sources about people who he doesn't like. And anyway, I asked him, "Do you disavow leftist violence?" And he said, "Don't worry, don't worry, sweetie. People take you seriously again someday." I'm thinking to myself, on YouTube alone, or even at this point on BitChute, I have more of an audience than this fucker and his entire network do cross-platform. And how funny that is, number one, but also you're deflecting. You're not going to disavow leftist violence because you're an Antifa member. I think Jared Holt is a sympathizer of their movement, probably coordinates with them, and he's a subversive agent. Yeah, absolutely. He's in league with the people that want to usurp the United States. Yeah. By the way, I actually have resigned as Happy Homeland's co-host, and this has nothing to do with the current situation. I'll explain it here, and I think Ramsey probably will bring this up today when he's live. And I'm deliberately not live at the same time as him because I don't want to compete with him because I like the dude. I'm not doing it because there was a fallout or a disagreement or anything like that. I want to make this very clear. I explicitly endorse Ramsey Paul. I like the dude. I was very glad to be his host. But scheduling became a goddamn bitch. Because you got to understand, I can't force the dude to broadcast at 7 a.m. And my time, 7 a.m. his time, is like 2 p.m. here. I like to get all my work out of the way by 2 or 3 o'clock usually. It's just impossible. Because there's a 7-hour time difference, it's impossible for both of us to be sort of awake and aware at the same time. Either he's still half asleep and hasn't had his fucking coffee. He hasn't clanked in the morning. Or it's me, and by the end of the day, I'm ground down. I want to do other things. I want to play Fallout. That's what I want to do. So, yes, I explicitly endorse Ramsey Paul. No, I don't care if people believe that he's a Nazi, he's an extremist. At this point, it doesn't even matter. We're all going to get banned anyway. We're all going to get fucked in the ass by main tech. But anyway, again, the main news of the day, Donald Trump has been banned by Twitter, and I believe by basically every other tech platform. This is a coup. What you are seeing is essentially, this is the irony, it is fascism. You're seeing a handful of unelected, extremely wealthy, powerful individuals who collude with members of Congress and other people in the government, essentially squish out political dissidents, including the sitting president of the U.S. By the way, this is actually illegal. It's illegal on several levels. Number one, this clearly violates antitrust laws. Google and Twitter and all the others, they are violating existing US law. When liberals say, well, if you don't like it, make your own platform. It's funny. Number one, they're attacking Parler right now, trying to deplatform it, which is hysterically ironic and probably will fail. Number two, it's not a private platform. Do you remember that federal court decision a couple years ago where Trump had banned a few people and they told him he can't do that anymore because his page was essentially the public square? Why is it that Twitter, therefore, would be able to ban the public square and bereave the citizens of the ability to interact with the president of the United States? They're literally not letting him tweet on the POTUS account. That is the official account of the president of the United States. It's different from real Donald Trump. That's his personal handle. He had that years ago. The POTUS account is to platform the president. They're nuking his tweets instantly. He tried to get back on the service and it was hilarious because they banned his alt account too. This is illegal. It's also unconstitutional. It is a coup by billionaires. What we are seeing right now is a coup. The tragic irony is that there is a coup happening, but the MSM and big tech are pretending that it's Trump trying to stage some sort of dumb, half-assed insurrection. No, it's not. It's a coup by the big tech billionaires to try to appropriate more power. And yes, fascism, by the way, is labeled a right-wing ideology, but because of the economic centrality it entails, it is inevitably a left-wing ideology. Absolutely. I think you may have been banned on Twitter. Oh, I hope so. That'd be nice. I'm practically looking for an excuse to ignore it completely. No, I'm still there. Sad. No, what happened is I nuked all of my tweets. I'm not going to be using it actively anymore. No, thanks. Why would I want to give money to Jack Dorsey? He's interfering with the political process. He's a fascist. Jack Dorsey is a fascist. Sundar Pichai, Susan Wojcicki, all of these people, Tim Cook, they're engaging in literal fascism at the moment. No, I am not banned on Twitter. Absolutely not. I'm still there. I'm logged in right now. It's just that I'm not going to do anything there. I don't care if they would ban me. Going to be hard to ban me since I don't even have any posts there now. I nuked them all. It took me, by the way, I had to use that tweet delete app 4 times to get rid of all the tweets because of all the shit posting that I did over the past year. And I had deleted it down not even a year ago, by the way. So keeping that in mind, yeah, I was a prolific user. Well, bye, Jack. You banned 5,000 of my followers there anyway. What's the fucking purpose of using your stupid site? It's dumb. And Twitter, by the way, their futures are down by double digits, I believe, at the moment. So Jack Dorsey has lost $1 billion. There's a reason why Elon Musk is now the richest man in the world. Oh, yeah, people are confused, I guess. Yeah, I changed my username on there to totally not Trump. It's a joke. People are taking up Trump avatars, and then because he tried to get around the ban by making a new account, which is hysterical. And why don't you just, to Donald Trump, you got 2 options, use alt tech or tweet through other people. Eric Trump, I think, is still there. Well, why even bother, though? Twitter's just going to ban everyone else, too. Look into locals.com to build your community of clankers without censorship. It's Ruben's platform. I'll look into it. Yeah. By the way, there is a misconception we need to clear up. In the haze, in the fog of war, you have to make sure not to spread inaccuracy. Some people right now are saying, well, there's Orwellian and then there's super Orwellian. You can't hashtag 1984 on Twitter. Of course you can. It's a numeric. It starts with a number. You can't hashtag numbers. That's not censorship. That's just their system working as normal. You can do it if you do 1984 in words, or just Orwell, or dystopia, or billionaires have started a goddamn coup and are attempting to usurp the U.S. political process. By the way, I think the thing that people need to do is have a strike. I absolutely condemn political violence. I disavow people who are politically violent. I don't believe in terrorism or whatever you want to label political struggles of that kind. But people have the right not to go to work and to say that they refuse to participate in a system that they no longer have faith in. And people definitely have the right to delete their fucking account. I hope I lose a lot more people on Twitter in the next 24 hours. My hope is that people delete their accounts. I'm keeping it open for news tip DMs just because I don't use Facebook and I don't like to give out my email too much. I, by the way, will be getting Proton Mail later. I'm abandoning Google for email purposes. I may delete my Google blog spot and just use WordPress. I think I get more audience there anyway. By the way, for some odd reason, and I'm not sure, here are two weird things that I've actually seen over the last like 48 hours. Number one, I'm selling like twice as many books as normal. I sold like 150 copies yesterday of 1900, The Last President. But one, the Secretary of State in there is named Pence, and the same author actually made a book called The Adventures of Baron Trump, if you can believe that. And he literally invoked time travel, and it basically is the same plot as what we're going through right now. Socialist uprisings, prefacing populist counter movement, and the death of the U.S. Republic. This was written 120 years ago. It's very strange. I believe in the occult for a reason. That's why I feel a little bit better about things as they're going, because it's almost formulaic. But yeah, some writer got Pelosi's laptop. Now, do you think she's having a grand amal spaz? Yeah, I don't think they took it, and that wasn't a rioter. That was actually Elijah Schaffer that took that picture. I don't know if anyone else took it physically, but Elijah Schaffer took a picture of it. By the way, he has a pass. He has access to the Capitol. He's not a rioter. He's a journalist. He was entitled to be there. He didn't break anything. He was documenting what he saw. He's not going to get charged for it, and calls for him to be deplatformed are lunacy. And an attack on the First Amendment, by the way. Oh, Nick Fuentes got kicked off DLive. Yeah, I'm not interested in DLive. They've been censoring too, just a little bit less. I'll be using BitChute or Rumble for my live streams once they're available. For right now, I have no choice but to use YouTube. But the other odd thing, I noticed that people actually get notified of these live streams. CNN is attacking. Yeah, CNN is attacking everyone right now. It was a mostly peaceful protest in the Capitol. Most of the people didn't get shot or kill anyone. It's mostly fiery, but mostly peaceful, right? Now they've surrounded the Capitol with security fencing and doubled up the security. It's interesting because none of the cities or states that were rocked by far-left rioters for 7 months did that. They all took a knee and said, "We want to talk to you. You have a legitimate grievance. Yeah, we want to defund the police too. You know, we'd rather spend that money on ourselves. So we don't want to give it to the beat cops that we send into the poor neighborhood to go get beaten on." But I encourage people, number one, well, first and foremost, I should preface this as the warning. You're going to hear from two groups of people over the coming days. Both of them you should ignore. And it's funny because idiots like the Kiwi dude are going to call me a grifter for even saying this. The first group of people are going to tell you we need accelerationism. You should fight. You should resort to violence now. Not a single one of them is going to fill a Molotov. They're not going to collect bricks. They're not going to punch a cop. They're not going to do the things they insinuate that you need to do. That's because they're comfy. Their lifestyle relies upon them talking about you fucking yourself and going to federal prison. That's group number one. Group number two will try to demoralize you. They'll say, it's hopeless. How can we stand up against billionaires and elements of the establishment? They will try to demoralize you and keep you from doing anything. There are things that you can do right now that are perfectly goddamn legal to resist this coup. And this is what it is. We are undergoing a coup by multi-billionaires. A bunch of unelected officials that control virtually all human communication have colluded together to interfere in our political process based on false premises. There was no threat of insurrection at the Capitol. It was a riot. We've had those for months. These people have openly condoned them in many cases. Trump never called even for a riot. He didn't even call for a protest. He called for people to come to D.C. and hold a rally. He spoke to people and then he left. He told other people to leave with peace in their hearts and other hippie good-feeling bullshit. That's what happened. By the way, no, I am not mad at Josh. I just think that he is cringy. I think that when you run a glorified gossip site with an audience probably considerably larger than just mine, and then you claim that you're owning someone when you are simply don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and then you nuke your Twitter. You delete the tweets, of course. Yeah, I think that's cringe. By the way, it's odd because, I mean, we're technically thrown in together because we both have to fight against this fucking authoritarian bullshit. Please use Telegram for direct messages and start a channel there. I've heard good things about Telegram and also Mastodon. But I mean, you got to understand how many fucking sites should I have to use? I've only got so many hours in the day. I also have books that I have to work on. I edit, I write. I've got other things that I do. You know, I like to cook. Some people are claiming that, by the way, that I'm doing that to get around YouTube's algorithms. Only low key. I noticed, by the way, all the skeptics are actually on board with nuking the president's Twitter. I'm thinking to myself, it's very, very funny that people that sort of started out and got their popularity by being edgy and irreverent and standing against the concept of censorship and establishment stuff are all falling in line like goddamn lemmings. It's because some of them are goddamn stupid and the others are goddamn grifters. That's really what it's about. But I celebrate their right to grift. That's okay. It's just that there's a lot of them doing so. I like that B chat sort of thing. There's this little like wired antenna you can put in a USB drive on your computer, and like for small files and basic text, you can communicate with local computers or something. That's a great idea. We definitely need to decentralize the internet. At this time, we must take action. The number one action that I can tell you is to self-improve. We're going to have a Dempression, no matter what happens from here on out. Whether the billionaires are capable of usurping our democracy or whether they fail doesn't really make a difference. We're about to experience an economic downturn. We're about to experience a protracted period of social alienation and stress in the United States. The best advice I can give to you, you got a suburban yard, tear it up and grow crops. Learn how to can. Get with your neighbors and coordinate your labor on a local level. Trade locally. Cut the middleman out. Cut the government out. Cut the state out entirely with your local transactions. Don't buy anything from China unless you absolutely have to. Boycott Walmart and all of these other woke companies. That's the first step. The second step is probably you should popularize alt tech. I feel like a voice in the woods sometimes. I feel like I'm a hermit wandering around in the dark woods with David Cullen and like half a dozen other people preaching about alt tech to a crowd that doesn't exist sometimes. I just gained like 400 subscribers on BitChute today alone already. Not gaining any on YouTube. I exist here. I'm making a live stream here because there's nowhere else at the moment to stream that I actually have an account on. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm never going to hit 500,000 subscribers. I mean, any chance of me getting the gold play button has definitely gone out the window. But I can probably get one on BitChute. I don't know if any of these other sites are going to accept that. By the way, Rumble should definitely do that. It'd be cool to have a little Rumble plaque, too. Somebody should contact Bongino somewhere other than Twitter. I know he's on Parler. He bought into them to, how much he donate? Like $4 million, I think. Yeah. All YouTube creators are using this as an excuse to come to BitChute, guaranteed income. Well, no, I mean, I was on BitChute long before, and I actually pay BitChute. I'm a gold member. I give them $20 a month. I'm not doing it for a form of guaranteed income. I'm doing it because I'm opinionated and I want to be able to speak out. YouTube is giving me no particular guarantee that I'll continue to be able to do that. They're openly hostile towards their independent creators. They were openly hostile for years towards people like me. They've been algorithmically demoting us for years now. The writing has already been on the wall. In 2016, I was already telling people to get alt tech accounts, mines and so forth. I recalled yesterday, one of the reasons that I've put so much effort into it, I realized how much Sargon had on mines.com alone. I realized how many more people he was reaching. And I said, fuck, if only I had known about the existence of this site a couple of years ago. Imagine what I could have done. Kiwi Farms is a federated Twitter alternative. Who gives a fucking shit? By the way, he spurged out actually the other day. I made a live stream. He probably took that down too. I thought that was hysterical. Yeah, I'm grifting and cringe. So let me make several tweets. By the way, he's the lord of being deplatformed, but he's shitting on me on Twitter and YouTube. Okay, dude. You're totally not projecting. By the way, to people saying Trump didn't concede, yes, he did. His speech was a concession. He's not going to use that word because it's a dog whistle to his fans, and he's enjoying that kind of. He's not staging a coup, but he's not going to attend the inauguration. I wouldn't want to either. Nobody's going to attend the inauguration. Biden doesn't have any fans. Nobody likes the bastard. Nobody likes Biden. Biden doesn't even like Biden. He looks in the mirror, he probably recoils. His wife has to goddamn dress him and feed him his applesauce and bran muffin in the morning so he doesn't fucking choke to death like the elderly lizard he is. And I love it when people are saying that it's a deep fake. You got to get over it at some point. There are meaningful ways to resist tyranny, and then there are meaningless ways. You are engaging in a meaningless way to resist tyranny. Get an alt tech account, Put more effort in it than you did yesterday. Learn a new skill. That's the best advice I can give you. People telling you to pick up a bag of rocks and go attack the police, and people telling you to do goddamn nothing and everything's fine, it's hunky-dory, are both goddamn wrong, and they're both goddamn grifters. And that's a lot of the content creators, by the way. Support their right to speak, but they're certainly not using it for anything that actually makes sense. Absolutely incoherent. We're engaged in a coup right now. A bunch of people that you didn't elect, that you've given money to primarily because, you know, they present a fun face, you know, Apple with its rounded corners and bright colors. YouTube's fun. I love YouTube music and stuff like that. They've decided that they're going to literally censor the president of the United States, and there are people that are actually insane enough to support this. Action must be taken. And by the way, my hope is that we can fight with words. That's certainly how I desire to do it. I'm much better with a pen than with a sword. Have one in Rutland, but yeah. I think I determined it was a U.S. cavalry training sword from the World War I era. It's actually pretty cool, and then I sharpened it up, and it's pretty great. Oh my God. They'll probably try to ban those too. Oh my God, if people have weapons, they might defend themselves against our tyranny. We got to do something about this. Yeah. Who is running the United States now? No, I don't know. It doesn't seem anyone's really running it. It seems like a bunch of idiots fucking one another in the ass. I suppose the chaos of that is better than a coup that's more well organized, but it seems like a bunch of tech billionaires have the upper hand. They certainly have one over on Congress. I notice there are a handful of Republicans right now condemning the actions of Twitter. It's only a handful. All the Mitt Romneys, the dead Kennedy's favorite would-be president, by the way, now, because they've come completely goddamn sold out. All of these people are happy about it. Yeah, by the way, people saying we lost Mozilla. Dude, Mozilla, you lost half a decade ago, and I warned you of it. Mozilla got woke back in 2015. I abandoned them at that point. They were so much better than Internet Explorer, but, you know, nobody uses either anymore. They all use Chrome, which is even worse. I use Opera. See, I'm cool. I would use something cooler if I could find something. There's Ecosia and stuff. What is alt tech? An alternative platform to Sherry Keeney. Alt tech, go to bitshoot.com, Odyssey. That's with, I think, 2 S's, if I remember correctly. Minds.com, Parler, Gab, all the sites where the cool kids are congregating. Everyone who's been banned on other platforms. Subscribestar. Subscribestar is a great Patreon alternative. In fact, it's better because you can tip there. Patreon's just recurrent. I like Subscribestar way more, and I make more money on it for a reason. It's great. Dissenter, based on the Brave browser. Never heard of it, but I'll check it out. And yes, I do like Brave, but it has some quirks. Opera's more streamlined. Ironically, I think it's owned by China. I'm probably fucking myself by using it. But yes, I will be getting, by the way, Proton Mail later. I'm cutting Gmail out of my life. I'm considering the possibility of cutting out Blogspot, although, I mean, it is still useful. It's well organized. It's basically the same as WordPress. There is a native audience there, so I'm not sure. And I don't know, like, I mean, if it's about my books, it has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with religion and stuff like that. I used Opera over a decade ago. It's just Chromium with skin. I've never used Chromium, so I wouldn't know. Cake browser, Tor browser, DuckDuckGo. Jesus fucking Christ. There's a million alternatives to the big tech sites. It's just, what you're going to see, here's another prediction, intermediate term, next few years. You're going to see these sites congeal. Some of them will die, some of them will combine together, and the ones that emerge will be more dominant. Eventually, they will get corrupted by money and power, because it's inevitable. It's the way human systems work. But in the intermediate term, the next 10 years or so, we'll be home free. That's why I try to cast the net wide. I can't tell you which ones of those will survive and not. I've got my bets. I hedge them. But I'm not going to do that publicly because, I mean, my hope is that they all survive. And they're going to gain more and more users. Parler probably added 100% of its own user base in the last 48 hours. Gab probably nearly so. BitChute, me alone, I've gained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of subscribers over the last 24 hours. I'm the first, by the way, to 120,000 subscribers. Well, a couple of years ago, idiots like Jared Alt were telling me that the platform was meaningless. Oh, you've got 10,000 subscribers on BitChute. Oh, but it will never take off. I'm not the only one. Jesus Christ, dude. You know how many people are approaching 100K on the platform? He's just sad because he never made an account. He never made an account because he just assumed it was full of Nazis. He just wanted to make his stupid hit pieces. By the way, I still have that archive with him using gay slurs and pejoratives towards females. Maybe NBC should be aware of that. Maybe the places that he calls into should be made aware of the fact that he's a raging goddamn bigot. Maybe that's what we need to do. We need to hold them to their own standards for once. I think we need a nationwide strike. I think we need people to popularize alt tech. And also, again, people need to improve their own lives. It's one thing to say the system is broken and it's not working properly. Fair enough. I absolutely believe that. But simply acknowledging that things are shitty and that there's an economic downturn and there's authoritarianism, that doesn't help you any. Sure, you're aware of the situation, but unless you're going further to do something about it, it doesn't mean anything. Again, learn a skill. Learn how to fucking grow some food or something. I know it sucks to have to do these things. They should just be recreational. I like to garden because it's fun to grow things. You know, grow flowers and herbs and stuff. You can do some canning. It's fun. It's entertaining. You get to be out in the sun and get some exercise and stuff, and you get something out of it. It's cool. How big of a piece of broccoli can I grow? I shouldn't have to do that because I'm worried about the fact that broccoli is going to be 10 times more expensive because Beijing Biden signs on to the ghost of the TPP. I shouldn't have to, but that doesn't matter that I should or shouldn't. What I'm very worried about right now is that there's going to be considerably more authoritarianism and that someone's going to like take a shot or something. I'm worried that this could boil over into actual violence because we didn't really see that much violence at the Capitol. A few thousand people invaded the Capitol. Most of them were there to take selfies. It's not a coup. It's not insurrection. It's a riot. And a largely peaceful riot, by the way. You know, carrying Nancy Pelosi's lectern around may be a felony, but it's not a violent felony, as opposed to what we saw from the left for these 7 months prior. There are tens of millions of people in the U.S. completely goddamn alienated right now. Yeah. Don't you think that's a little bit of a powder keg? By the way, saying deleting Twitter now. Yeah, you should delete your Twitter account. I'm keeping it open for DMs, but I'm not going to be posting there. I'll be posting on Parler and Gab and also Minds. Minds is great for photographs. It's almost like, think of Minds as being a better Facebook combined with some WordPress elements, including video functionality. It's great for uploading. It's actually relatively fast for uploading videos. It's just the searchability on site is more geared towards text and pictures as opposed to video. It's not, it's sort of, they're trying to be like a dedicated video host as well. It's kind of works. It's functional. But again, it's closer searchability wise, more like Brighteon or something. I like Brighteon too. I'm on that platform, but I don't really share it out as much because it's so much smaller. I've only got so much room in the description of my videos. I've gone to MeWe Next Gen Social Network. Yeah, I've heard a lot about MeWe actually, but I'm not on it. I'm on Rumble. Rumble is good. I've gained 2,000 subscribers there in the last 48 hours. Don't leave. Change your profile to Trump and get banned. I did change my Twitter profile to Trump. I did. And by the way, yes, the billionaires do worry about loss of revenue. You got to understand the net worth of people like that tends to be tied up in physical property. If their physical property is devalued, they lose huge amounts of wealth. If they don't have money to invest in new things, they die off. I'm not saying that, oh, and by the way, I don't want Google to stop existing. I want it to go back to not being evil. That's my preference. I don't want to get rid of 230 and fuck the internet. I want it to be reformed and make it clear if you want to be a platform and have these protections, you've got to be a neutral carrier. It's simple. It takes 2 sentences. That's why Congress won't do it, because it's too simple. The problem is too simple to solve, and they would lose too much money solving it. So we can't count on Congress to do what's right. We can't count on these people. We need to act. But I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to tell people, well, by the way, you should go punch a cop. Or conversely, don't do anything, be demoralized. That ain't me. You want that, you can go to any of 1,000 other content creators. They'll tell you either to be demoralized or they'll insinuate that you should be violent while they do nothing except talk about you. And then they won't even celebrate you get blown away by the cops. They won't even openly celebrate your martyrdom or whatever. They'll ignore it. You know, wonderful people. But I'm the boring grifter. I'm the grifter who popularized alt tech for half a decade. Yeah. Parler is gone from Google. Yeah, they deplatformed Parler's app. You can still use the desktop version. You can get the app. It's just can't get it on the Google and Apple Play stores because, see, they've got a vertical monopoly. These two companies control something like 95% of apps, like app availability. It's illegal. Under existing U.S. law, what these companies are doing is already unlawful. It's also unconstitutional. These are not fully privatized networks. When liberals so-called say, well, it's a private company, they can do what they want. No, they can't. They're publicly traded. They are the public square. This has been found over and over in court cases. Donald Trump's Twitter alone has been explicitly deemed a public square. It just got nuked. That is a violation of equal access to that platform. It is the public square. To U.S. citizens, it is in their interest that they be allowed to engage with that platform. Why is it that therefore Donald Trump or some other official can't ban someone from using it, but Twitter can? Are we saying that Twitter needs to have more power over all human communication than the government itself? Or over any other entity? I don't think so. And by the way, you're a goddamn bootlicker if you do believe that. Even if you think there's a legal argument to be made for Twitter being able to act in such a way, it's goddamn bootlicking. It means that you're supporting something that is literally akin to fascism, which is basically, or communism or something, severe authoritarianism. Yeah, they're cheering a Trump supporter's death after they got done defending George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Jacob Blake and others. I do find it slightly ironic. Isn't it ironic that's the same MSM that now condemns all political violence and wants calm and unity, and we need to do something about this because people died, had no problem with the Chaz shootings. They didn't even talk about it. They had no problem with Sequoia Turner getting gunned down by a BLM member. Goddamn hypocritical stooges is what they are. It's not really a media at this point. They're not telling anyone the truth, and they're definitely not conducting investigative journalism. You get more, the investigative journalism is Andy No. And I hope he nukes his Twitter too. Maybe he's been banned by now. Why would you defend the corporate monopoly? Google. I don't care if it's a monopoly if they're holding true to the 230 meaning, which is to be a platform. It doesn't really matter if they're monopolistic if they're not doing anything wrong with their monopoly. There's the problem. Congress is bought up, so they're not challenging them to do that. So you get idiots in Congress. The idiots come in two flavors. Those that want to do nothing because they're bought off, and those that want to do something, but what they want to do is stupid, like getting rid of 230 altogether. Great way to get rid of every alt-tech site other than BitChute, by the way, since as far as I know, they're all based otherwise in the U.S. I guess I'd be the last creator standing at that point. That'd be interesting. Wouldn't it be funny? The year is 2022. The last person that has a platform uninhibited of any size is some idiot from Vermont with a webcam, with long hair who was known for not wearing a shirt under his leather jacket. Wouldn't that be interesting? War Room Pandemic got nuked. Yeah, everyone got nuked. Twitter's destroying itself. Again, they've lost a considerable amount of their stock value. Jack Dorsey must be at least a little bit sad to lose $1 billion or so overnight. I hope he loses it all. I live to see the day. I have a dream, my friends, that one day Jack Dorsey will live under my bed, and I'll charge him rent for that. He'll have nowhere else to go because no one will want him. Can you get on Tim Pool in real life? Oh, he's streaming, or he wants to come on the thing here. He'd have to DM me on Twitter. Yeah, if people want on streams, they have to do that on Twitter because I don't really give out my email. I don't have any messages or anything. And no, I don't let random people on because you could be a leftist who's going to flash a gun and get me banned or something. So I don't know. I wish Trump would get on the alt-tech sites. There's an unofficial BitChute page that I shared out the other day. There's an unofficial, I think unofficial Parler. I don't know if there's a Gab. I think, well, Gab has a replicator, but that one's definitely not Trump. Trump doesn't seem to have any alt-tech presence that he himself has anything to do with. I honestly don't know why. If he joined BitChute, the site would double and he'd be the first person to 1 million within 24 hours, and then he could say whatever the fuck he wanted. Rumble being bought out soon by Google? I don't think so, because Bongino dumped millions of dollars into it. Trump tweeted from @POTUS. Yeah, exactly. He did. But anytime he tweets something, I guess they take it down. I'm no longer using Twitter. I think that people should delete their Twitter accounts unless they're necessary. I'm going to keep it for news tips, and otherwise I'm not posting. I've got one pinned comment there. I nuked everything else. Fuck it. I no longer have confidence in the big tech sites to continue existing anyway. Like, either the tech site becomes useless, either Twitter becomes useless to someone like me because they either ban me or my message is so watered down it's pointless, or they stop existing altogether, or become like Yahoo. They become a skeleton company, a zombie company, because of their own mismanagement. Why would I want to use the fucking site? Hopefully Cloudflare doesn't deplatform 4chan. I think 4chan is safe. I think. Mainly because I do not believe they actually use Cloudflare, if I remember correctly. I think that Cloudflare fucked them over before and they replaced them. What we need is for the alt tech sites to coordinate together in order to get more. They need to get their own registrar system going. They need to move all together to maybe a small third world country that has a weak government that wants their money and doesn't care about what they post and stuff like that. The problem is that there's currently no actual global solution because each nation has a different set of rules and regulations and taxes. And none of them, if I were running some tin horn dictatorship in Africa, I would go on Zoom call with these people and say, hey, I don't care who you're criticizing as long as it ain't me. Fucking put your servers here, invest the money, build whatever the hell you want. I'll shield you. My central bank will shield you. That's what I would do. What was the mail service you're moving to? I decided Proton Mail is just, most people were recommending it. By the way, right now we're undergoing a coup. Just so people are aware, I'm hardening my defenses against an authoritarian coup by a half a dozen billionaires. That's basically what I have to do, and I'm not even physically in the US at the moment. You should do the same thing. BitChute censors and deletes content too. They have made it quite clear illegal content will be deleted. They don't have a choice, just so you know. Comments are not particularly deleted. They can be flagged. But if you've been to a BitChute comment area, sometimes you get things there that explicitly violate US law. Nobody's trying to platform criminals. What we're trying to do is platform every other form of speech, things that are legal but are still being suppressed, like Donald Trump telling people to show up for a rally and then getting banned by Twitter because other people decided to riot. That's what we're tired of. That's what we're tired of. Seattle PD placed 2 of its officers on paid administrative leave for attending the rally at the Capitol. Yeah, there's a lawyer ban too, but he didn't even go inside. It's fucking stupid. And there will be backlash. There will be more violence probably, and more people shouting at each other, throwing rocks and shit. There'll be more censorship, more stupidity. That's just the way that it is. Dissenter now has a web browser, Torba hinted that may come out with a phone. That'd be interesting if there was a Gab phone. I'd get it. Yeah, I'd probably do that. So, I mean, but for me, you got to understand, I'm in a little bit of a different situation from the average person. I work from home, self-employed, number one. As far as phones, I hate them. I don't do anything when I can help it on a phone. So, I mean, I can do it with a primitive flip phone. I do have a smartphone, a low-end, low-budget one at the moment. Now, I use it for taking pictures more than anything else, I think. Thoughts on Texas and other states possibly seceding? Number one, they won't. Number two, it'd be a terrible idea. When you secede, what you're doing is giving ground to your enemy. That's basically what you're doing. If you think that your movement really has legs, then you have to fight for it ideologically on the nose. You can't just say, well, I'm going to go off and have my own party. That's how you get destroyed, actually. I don't believe in weakening the United States. I believe in reforming it and making it stronger and better. Yeah, that is one thing to Harbor 71. You're making a good point there. It is kind of funny that Trump stubbornly clings to Twitter, like even to the point of trying to get around their ban, which is never going to work, as opposed to simply getting on a different platform. I'm not 100% sure that I understand why he would bother doing so. We need to have entertainment on alt tech. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, more people should join up. I guarantee they will. Look, if you look at Trump fans, the cross-section of millions of people currently having a mass exodus for mainline tech out of absolute horror at what's going on. Some of those people, they make music, they do video gaming, they do all sorts of stuff. It'll come. It's just you got to understand, like the first wave of alt tech, really this starts kind of with VidMe. If any of you remember VidMe, which I think I hit 25,000 subs on before it fell apart. It was basically an alternative to YouTube with Reddit overlap. The comment section was sucked ass. It was basically a Redditized version of YouTube. And it was kind of free speechy, but kind of just a differently styled alternative. VidMe initially was mostly about makeup tutorials, bodybuilding, fishing, like normal stuff. It was normie tube, basically. It was just a non-YouTube normie tube. What happened is that when people like me, we worried about adpocalypse, and I said, look, YouTube is clearly signaling that it's going to be moving towards an era at some point indefinitely in the future that it's going to start banning and purging, which it is right now. That time has come. I decided to get on VidMe, and I was making political and news content. It's the same stuff that I'm making now. Instead of embracing it, what VidMe did, which was a terrible decision, and it's why they died, and I warned them for months not to do this. What happened is that they started keeping the political stuff from trending. They took literally a swath. Me and Sargon were two of the most prominent people on the platform. They took some of their top users and they basically abused us. That's not the way to go. What's happened with alt tech a few years later, going on BitChute and Odyssey and the others. What's happened with alt tech is that the first exodus are people who were censored. Well, once you have a person who's basically a pariah, someone edgy who's censored, what does this replicate? Let me ask you this. For those of you who were around in the 2000s, it replicates how YouTube was born, how Facebook was born. It was born out of edgy people. Facebook kind of not. Initially, it was invite only. It was college kids. But as far as the first wave of people that got there, they were doing edgy shit. They were all a bunch of like college kids and 18, 19 years old, maybe 20, early 20s, doing weird shit. That was how it was born. YouTube was born out of bum fights and Tourette's guy and stuff like that. It is replicating basically the mid-2000s. I'm extremely happy about this. I'm also extremely happy I have a lot of Bitcoin. I'm thinking if it ever falls down, trust me, if it goes below 10K, I'm going to buy like half a Bitcoin at that point. Probably more. By the way, fuck Joe Biden. Let me be the first to say fuck Joe Biden as well. He's calling Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. He's likening them to Goebbels at the moment. Goddamn, what a fucking irony. What a goddamn farce. And then the McDonald's CEO came out. Did you see that the other day? I'm actually going to be joking about this in a main video tomorrow. Maybe a BitChute exclusive, not sure. The CEO of McDonald's came out and said, well, what's happening right now is un-American, and part of America's image is McDonald's. I'm thinking, you've killed more people than most extremist groups. I think technically 5 people died at the Capitol. Like 100,000 people died last year because they ate too many of your fucking burgers. Boycott McDonald's too. Boycott them all. They all suck. Why would you want to put that shit in your body? Make your own fucking hamburgers. It's cheaper. It's tastier. Yeah, but make a fucking. I make portobello burgers you drool over even if you're a carnivore. So, you know. Oh, yeah. The Lincoln Project shills warning about third parties. That's because, these people are partisan Republicans in the Jeb Bush sense. They're making a lot of money. Even AOC briefly called them out on that because they took in, $30 million, and they spent a little bit on one ad in one city. Where'd the money go? Well, you expected them to be principled liberals? They tell you up front they're Republicans. I actually support their grift. They were very honest about it. They just want to sit there and shitpost on Twitter. By the way, the Krasensteins had a video where they're dancing around celebrating Trump being banned. And I'm thinking to myself, you literally exist just to reply to Donald Trump. By the way, getting around Twitter's bans in the most explicit sense. You have calls to violence and weird shit on Twitter every day. I don't see Apple breathing down their neck saying that they need to get rid of 230 protections. Buy Dogecoin. Yeah, I like all cryptocurrencies. Is that labeled as a shitcoin by the Bitcoin purists? I think it is, though. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin long-ish term. Unless Beijing Biden decides, well, all those people have too much fiscal latitude. We need to ban it from use. We're going to ban U.S. citizens from using crypto because it scares us. They might buy Russian products. Yeah, like a meme coin, a literal meme coin in that sense. I had an opportunity many years ago when Bitcoin was like $10 a piece to buy a whole shit ton. I considered investing $100 in Bitcoin when I could have made Now, if I sold it today, a return of what? $500,000? Whoops. We all make mistakes. I'm not replicating it again. That's why I'm on alt tech. Install Gen 2. Oh, God, that old meme. Monero's another one that's supposedly good. Why doesn't Styx have Telegram? Because I haven't signed up for it yet. That's the only reason. I'll look in on it. Jim wants on? You mean Medicare? We can get Medicare on. Tell him, get him to DM me. I'll give him the link. I'll keep my Twitter open over on the side here if he wants on. Officially, he was banned on Twitter, of course, so it's not actually him. It's his representative DMing me. And yes, I have heard that DLive purged Nick Fuentes. I did hear about that, and I condemn it too. Jim's not on. Yeah, there's a lot of it. It's just like when people were trolling Fuentes by saying that I had died in a car crash or something. Oftentimes, you can't determine what's real when you're live streaming. At least I can't be swatted because there's no guns in this country. So, you know. Medicare has Medicare apparently has, like, was it sarcoma? I think it was. Oh, it's Jim Watts you're talking about. I thought you meant Jim like Medicare, I guess. Isn't Telegram full of pedos? Yeah, probably is. They'll probably use that as an excuse to ban it too, instead of just banning the pedophiles. Yeah, meanwhile, nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room, which was those weird, like, Elsa things that were on YouTube there for a while. I think they finally got that shit off, but... And Twitter, too. Didn't they spend months, and there were, like, hashtags people were using? I saw this, but, you know, I'm not going to look into it further. I guess that, like, a bunch of people were, like, trading child porn on it, actually. And they didn't do anything about it. I mean, here's the tragic irony. People would be victimizing children, fucking selling slaves or something on one of these platforms. Nobody does jack shit about it. Apple doesn't breathe down their neck. Google says nothing. But then somebody says, oh, well, the election results were shenanigans. Oh, hey, show up for a rally in D.C. Oh, shit, 4 people died. Quick, we've got to do something about this. Day 1, we all have to coordinate to do so. The nonstop shilling of crypto lately. Well, I mean, it's no different than any fiat currency. It's better because it's infinitely divisible and therefore will tend to grow in evaluation over time. It will, unless it is banned or hyper-regulated, and I don't think the latter is likely to happen because, you know, politicians there. Oh, what's happening? Let me tell you one reason I think crypto wins. You're seeing a huge mass-scale buy-in by establishmentarians who have experience in banking and investing and stuff. They donate to politicians. If they're buying in, they're not going to say to the politicians, hey, we want you to ban crypto now. You know, I've spent $100 million on Bitcoin. Why don't you fuck me in the ass? No, they'll say, I'll donate $1 million to your campaign. Make sure that this law that would regulate crypto goes the way of the dinosaur. That's what they'll do. I'm very bullish on crypto. I'm not giving you, by the way, disclaimer, any official advice here fiscally. I'm not an accountant or anything, but I am. In my life, if I had more disposable income at the moment, I'd buy as much Bitcoin as I could, probably, even at the price that it's at now. Long term, I think it pales in comparison to what it'll rise to. Ghost predicted all of this in 2010. He got banned in 2010 from MySpace. Yeah, getting banned from MySpace, that's a fucking achievement. How do you buy Bitcoin? Yeah, just Google it. Let me Google that for you. Yeah, literally just go to an exchange. That was Coinbase or whatever. I accept it. I've got links in the description, by the way, for all of my wallets for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. I like all three. I think Bitcoin's the big kahuna. Litecoin is pretty good. Ethereum is sort of like the hipster crypto. You can give me free money if you want. Just saying. Jim died from rectal cancer. I wouldn't laugh at that if I didn't know he'd find it funny, but... I think there's a different Jim that we're talking about, though. I don't think Medicare is awake right now. He's probably sleeping in. I mean, what is it? I don't even know what day of the week it is. Is it Saturday? Yeah, it's Saturday. See, I'm a slave now. I've got a smartphone. Yeah, there's like 1,000 cryptos. Some of them appear to be made solely for the founder to get rich. Like you make a crypto and you because you know it's going to rise, because pegging it to something, whether you mine it early, you get a bunch of it, you invest in your own crypto, and then you just sit there, and it's kind of a scam or a pyramid scheme, as it were. I think people have made millions and millions of dollars as the result of that. I'm just thinking about if I could go back in time, I would definitely have spent that $100 on Bitcoin. It was like $5-10 a piece. I'd be rich as fuck. I made a mistake. Oh well. Now I've got to make up for lost time. Now I got to publish more books on Amazon. 5,000 into Bitcoin. Good idea. Maybe when it drops, and it will. Right now it's still spiking. I don't know when it's going to drop, but if you look at the long-term curve, at this particular point, I think it bottoms at 10K, maybe 15. If you bought in then, it would be, I guess, again, disclaimer, not fiscal advice, but that's when I plan to potentially do so. If it goes below 10,000 per Bitcoin, I will buy in aggressively because I mean, I'll make money. I like money. I'm a capitalist. I'm not like these socialists and social democrats that disclaim the concept of wealth. Yeah, they're sitting there on their $2,000 iPad in their middle-class home with their regular car, or sometimes upper middle-class car, and they're talking about how they want more power to the proletariat. They're totally not grifting off of the small donations of their more poor followers. They want to keep them poor, probably. You see, if they're poor, then they can continue to grift by complaining about impoverished people and pretending to give a shit. The government does this all the time to inner city communities. Bitcoin will see 10 to 15K soon. Yeah. Also, I mean, the fact is, we are probably going to see a Dempression. That is my name for the upcoming likely recession under Beijing Biden. If that happens, I can't imagine crypto going anywhere but up. I mean, it'll still have a lull, but it'll buoy it in general. And there will be another spike, I believe, in the future. And if I draw a line on top instead of on bottom and I extrapolate where it could go, you're talking, you have a Bitcoin, you become massively wealthy. You have like $200,000-300,000 potentially. I don't think that's likely. I think it'll take a lot longer for that. But I mean, hitting 60, 70K, yeah, it's possible. I bought NVIDIA at $1. Sold it too. Thought I won. BTC to $100,000. What do you think about buying gold and silver? I hold some silver, only physical. Gold is considerably higher buy-in. Keep this in mind. If you expect there to be like a real economic collapse, like not an oil shock 70s recession, sort of the Carter thing, that's what I'm expecting, a Dempression, a recession, intermediate in level for multiple years. It'll be bad, but it's survivable. If you think it'll be worse than that, though, gold actually wouldn't be a good idea, because the problem is subdividing it into units small enough to use it for any day-to-day purchase would be impossible because it's so valuable. Silver is easier. You can have your ounce of silver. Well, if it's worth $100, you get a $100 bill in silver. It's easier. Try dividing it. If gold is at $50,000 an ounce or something, try subdividing it into a unit small enough to buy a loaf of bread. It doesn't make any sense. You don't expect them to bring back Libra scales at the grocery store so you can buy 20 pounds of rice with a single sand grain size of gold. Nobody's going to do that, but they'll use silver potentially for local purchases. A lot of people that are into like survivalism and like the militia mentality, they like that. Jim died of yellow fever. I can be taken in two different ways, by the way. I did well on Litecoin. Yeah, I like Litecoin too. It's more usable because it's worth less. And I believe, isn't it pegged to Bitcoin anyway? I think. What are your thoughts on BitChute censoring videos critical of Ethan Ralph? My understanding, and I don't know because I didn't look into it fully, my understanding is that was because of doxing related rules or porn or something, because I don't think BitChute allows pornography. I don't think it had to do with them defending him as a person directly. But he was defending me the other day. I have no problem with him. You can make colloidal silver out of Canadian silver maple leaves. You can. So you're saying there's real silver in silver maple trees. I wasn't aware of that. I just thought that was due to the color that they were. I'm probably being trolled right now. Yeah, what about Julian Assange? Unfortunately, I do not believe he's going to be pardoned. Here's the irony. The weird thing is that he's being held in the UK based on US charges as a flight risk. But the UK dropped all its charges. Why the fuck is he still in jail then? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's a farce. It's an absolute miscarriage of justice, just like the billionaire coup that we're seeing in the United States right now. Try filling your gas tank with Bitcoin if the dollar crashes. Well, there you realize that you can convert it on PayPal, correct? And link that to your bank account. Sure, you have to pay the conversion fee and potentially taxes if you're buying, offloading crypto. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. Try doing any mainline fiscal transactions. See if the IRS isn't looking into that too. Yeah, there are some Bitcoin ATMs. Like there's some of that here because Amsterdam is a big city and it's a banking capital. I mean, in small town America, it hasn't taken hold, but people can still convert it. You can convert it to a more standard digital fiat and then link it to your bank and use it accordingly. It's not impossible. It's more complex, but the thing is, right now what we're seeing is people are investing in it because it's continuing to rise. At some point it falls because the supply will catch up to demand. It is inevitable, but the demand has been growing logarithmically for years now. It's not going anywhere. Now that PayPal, which donates to the US government, has adopted it, now that major banks are allowing it, now that the government is openly fomenting having a counterbalance with its own crypto, it's gone mainstream. Once all the mainstream people buy into it and realize how, because they're decadent, realize how much easier it is to use it on the digital end instead of carrying around actual cash, it could replace the actual physical currency. I don't think that that's a good idea. I would oppose it vigorously, and I think it's dystopian, but it could. That could be the way we go. So if you've got, half a Bitcoin or something, you're sitting pretty. You've got all the money you'd ever need. One of our local Shell gas stations has a Bitcoin ATM in our small town. Interesting. Anyway, we should probably talk about the coup that's going on as opposed to just crypto. I mean, I'm bullish on crypto. I'm glad that I hold it because the dollar might fucking go into a tailspin under Beijing Biden. But that's just part of it. The economic part of it affects people like me less if you can work from home and have a reasonably high income, as opposed to, you're in a 9 to 5 in the working class, one paycheck away from poverty. By the way, I find it funny. So-called freedom fighter for the poor, Bernie Sanders, finally found billionaires that he's not willing to criticize now, didn't he? Donald Trump gets banned off of Twitter and all of mainline tech. What does Bernie Sanders have to say? Goddamn nothing. The Republicans sound like socialists right now. You've got Republicans right now sounding like socialists, lambasting police, burning the thin blue line flag and calling for the billionaires' heads, basically. And meanwhile, you've got people on the left being silent about these things and praising the Capitol Police, praising tech billionaires. Is this not clown world? Is it not topsy-turvy enough yet? Anyway, I'm definitely learning new skills. I'm actively attempting to learn to cook. And among other things, I'm investing more of my time in making money. It'd be nice to have a nest egg for the inevitable struggle to come, regardless of what happens. Beijing Biden is a steward and a puppet. The U.S. government will manage things into the ground over the next 4 years. And we're likely to see considerable amounts of economic downturn and possibly, and I hope this doesn't happen, but possibly violence. That's what we are likely to see. Oh, Fincastle there. Hello. I own a traditional ATM business in Virginia, but new software allows my traditional ATMs to sell Bitcoin by printing a QR code on the receipt. I didn't know that was possible. Some crazy shit. Yeah, I do blame the neocons, by the way. I blame cowardly Republicans and evil Democrats for the current economic crisis and political crisis. The government of the United States there's an active attempt to usurp it by multi-billionaires. A group of multi-billionaires that weren't elected, do not have your best interests at hand, and are for-profit. They employ fucking child slaves overseas. They grift on various governments. Not a single one of them is talking about, hey, you know what? We should probably ban the Ayatollah. Maybe we should ban the Chinese state broadcasting agency over the slavery that's going on in the Uyghur region. millions of people picking cotton literally. It's like a goddamn farce. No, that's all fine. No, we've got to ban Donald Trump for calling people to a peaceful rally. Much, much more important. It's a farce. It's propaganda. The fact that there are people, and I know some of them personally, there are people that actually believe the MSM's line that Trump rambled and raved red-faced and told people to go storm the Capitol, and that these billionaires actually are looking out for the Republic. Let me again go through the basic mind exercise. These people want me to believe that this one man is essentially the less intelligent Hitler. They don't want me to believe that the cabal of billionaires, sleazy empty suits, and people that foment war, grind people down, and employ slaves, they want me to believe that all of a sudden they've left all that bad behavior behind and now they're standing in the gap to defend democracy. They care about me. They care about the little person. I don't believe it. In 1,000 years, I would never be goddamn dumb enough to believe that. Yeah, let me check the Twitter stock. How much have they lost in value? Let me look that up. I hope Jack Dorsey's under a bridge. I want to employ the bastard. Down at the moment, 1.64%. Oh, in futures, it's 1.93, actually, after hours trading. I think things haven't opened up there yet. Yeah, their futures are way down. They're going to take a beating. Jack Dorsey will have to sell one of his 10 yachts, probably. I hope there comes a day when I can employ these people picking turnips in my backyard. I'll make them grow and pick leeks at profit. Then I'll be the good capitalistic master defending democracy, and they'll be my slaves. Yeah, it's definitely, here's the other thing. What we're seeing right now is 10,000 times worse than the robber baron era. If you've studied U.S. history, you know about the Gilded Age, late 1800s. What happened was that a bunch of people who were very wealthy bought up politicians to leave them alone, essentially, and even use the police to abuse their enemies. It's basically what we're seeing now. And they formed trusts. Now, a trust is basically you have three dudes in expensive suits smoking cigars and drinking their gin, and they all own coal mines. And instead of competing with one another to lower the price, to outcompete others, they say, hey, we can make a lot more money if we just fix the price. We agree not to compete with each other in our respective markets. We'll fix the price at one level, and we'll leave it at that, and we'll make money hand over fist. You got 5 railroads servicing a region. They say, well, we don't need to compete to see who can be fastest or most safe or who can have the lowest ticket prices. Fuck, we can do whatever the fuck we want. We own it all. It is a trust. It's like a monopoly that's broken up into segments that refuse to compete with one another. It's already illegal under US law. It's exactly what big tech is doing. When these groups all ban the same person at the same time, and they've done this before, this is not a new thing with Donald Trump. They did it to InfoWars, they did it to Lord and Southern, they did it to many other people. When some or all big tech firms get together and a person gets mass deplatformed at the same time, it is collusion. It is an antitrust activity. It is illegal under current US law. When liberals try to tell you it's a private company, they can do what they want. No. Under existing law, their actions are already unlawful. In regards to Trump, it's even worse because we have a federal court decision mandating him not to block people solely so they can interact as a public platform. The acknowledgement that we need to make is to understand that the communications tech that we use, whether it be email, social media, vlogging, whatever, it is the public square. It is the idea that it's not would be like saying, well, we've got these electronic typewriters now. It's totally different from the manual printing presses they had in the 1700s. So it's not covered under the rights of the press. Oh, radio? It's not covered under the rights of the press. The founders didn't have radios. They didn't have an AR-15. Therefore, somehow the Second Amendment doesn't apply. Only to black powder weapons. By the way, I can't wait till the government subsidizes my fucking grape shot cannon. Just so you know. It's not true. The rights of the accused. Well, there are laws now that they didn't have in the 1700s. Why should the accused have the right to cross-examination and the preponderance of evidence over charges that didn't exist back then? Privacy. Well, they didn't have email. So obviously the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply. In every single instance, consistently, that has been ruled against. That idea that the founders didn't have foresight, they weren't Nostradamus, and therefore they couldn't have predicted things, and therefore the protections ended in the 1700s has consistently been shot down, including, by the way, for gun laws. McDonald versus Chicago, Heller versus DC, and so forth. I do believe eventually that will happen with big tech. But the problem is that if big tech gets its way, if it acts in this sense, And if no one resists, if we do not stop them, if we do not resist the authoritarianism we're seeing, they will control the government to such a level it won't be possible anymore. If they control enough of Congress, if they control the presidency and expand the SCOTUS potentially and control that, they're dictators. 6 dudes will run the entire country. Bernie Sanders will have his dystopia, and he'll have said absolutely nothing about it. The only people speaking out, ironically, get labeled Nazis by the same motherfuckers. That's the problem. Yeah, buy tools. Yes, you should learn how to fix things because, of course, the price of goods can go up if you end up in a Soviet Union situation. By the way, one of the first things they do is hide the antenna for ham radios to keep people from broadcasting or receiving foreign information. So definitely have an extra loop antenna for your ham radio and hide it. By the way, I mean, so many guns over the last few years have gone diving and not come back, and rip in peace. I'm more worried about ISPs shutting down website alternatives. Yeah, exactly. It's funny that the same liberals who ranted and raved about net neutrality never extended that beyond the most base level. Registrar kicked you off. Oh, it's a free country. It's a free society. It's a capitalistic thing. Social media banned one of its competitors explicitly. That's fine. It's totally not a violation of antitrust laws that are almost 150 goddamn years old. Sticks don't get it. The country is over. No, it's not. It'll always be here in some form. You can't kill an idea. The idea of liberty is not going anywhere. It's going to seep into all elements of society over time. It's just a matter of whether we get to enjoy it fully, whether we have the bravery and the solidarity to push back against authoritarianism. There are times in history when liberty bursts forth and then a tyrant comes along and kills a bunch of people. Tyrant, maybe they get beheaded, maybe they get exiled or something. Libertarians run it, liberals run it. The left rises up. You got socialism. You get a counter-revolution. Populists take control. Maybe it devolves into fascism. Everything changes all the time. One of the biggest problems is that Americans, uniquely, I think, because we've had such a long period of general success and liberty, have gotten decadent and complacent. And so they figure the Constitution will protect me. I don't need the skill. The Constitution will protect me. I don't need another gun. I don't want to look paranoid. I don't need a fallout shelter. I don't need to know how to forage or grow food or anything like that because we got farmers now and stuff. The government will take care of it. No, it won't. Government will take care of it at a cost. That's the problem, dude. Thoughts about growing your own food in the Netherlands? Very expensive. It's funny because food cost here is really, really weird compared to the US. Meat is massively expensive here, but dairy products are cheap. Vegetables and fruits in season, it costs next to goddamn nothing. But if they're out of season, oh my God, you should see what okra costs in this country. All of you Southerners out there, I'm not even going to tell you because you'll have a heart attack. I'd lose a bunch of my subscribers. You'd die. The stress alone, you wouldn't be able to have fried okra in this country unless you're at least in the upper middle class. Let's put it that way. A pack, okay, I'll tell you how much. You'll pay $10 equivalent in euros for 4 pieces of okra that's about a serving. That's how much it costs. Yeah, you grow it in your own garden. I grew it in Vermont, actually. It didn't grow hugely well. It's a hotter weather crop, and we'd started it from seed. Should have gotten seedlings going instead. You'd have a cash crop if you're selling that shit to the Netherlands. By the way, it's actually in the section for the ethnic food. So there's banana leaves and plantains and stuff, and a lot of it's Surinamese. There's a lot of Suriname and Moroccan influence in modern Dutch cuisine. And so a lot of those ingredients like spices and plants and stuff are there. And by the way, some of it's delicious. Fried plantains are one of the greatest goddamn things ever made. I had them the authentic African way. Some people were saying, when I made my fried plantains video, let me rant for a moment about a lighter topic. Here's an interesting thing. People complained that in my plantains video, I used too much oil. I had them the authentic African way from someone who was actually from Africa. I can tell you I probably put too little oil in. So, it's just sort of like when people are complaining about my the eggplant, the style had too much oil in it, or the tacos too greasy. Why don't you live a little? Not everyone eats New England cuisine every day, dude. As a Nigerian, you were on point. Thank you very much. She was from Ghana, if I remember correctly, actually. Oh, but it was good. I mean, it's basically a heart attack in every bite, but the taste is amazing. Finally, Styx calls big tech's fast. Yeah, it is fascism. What we're seeing now is essentially a fascist coup. It's the sort of thing that all of the anti-Trumpers have been worrying about, except that it's coming from the people they support. What a tragic irony. Isn't that interesting? McDonald's saying, well, it's un-American what happened the other day. McDonald's is American too. Yes, it's as American as having a vascular episode. It's as American as obesity. You ever see Super Size Me? By the way, the dude who did that got woke and actually came out and said some weird shit at one point. Totally fucked his own career by saying, well, now he was doing the Me Too thing. Spurlock, I think his name was. And he was like, well, yeah, I basically sexually assaulted a girl at one point. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. Well, first and foremost, was it actually legitimately a form of assault? Secondly, she's not saying anything about it. Maybe doesn't even fucking care, dude. The hell is your problem? What an idiot. Yeah. To people who don't know my backstory, I come from a very poor upbringing, like one step from Appalachian poverty. Not exactly barefoot in the kitchen, but dirty kitchen floor and hot dogs without buns, so to speak. Very sad. I have happy childhood by and large, but fish sticks were a thing. So my food is definitely influenced by a higher tolerance for things that would be considered greasy, maybe less flavorful. Although I'm telling you, I'm getting much better at making soup. That last soup that I made with the turmeric and cardamom in it was delicious. Again, you would have bought it in a can. WikiLeaks had a huge drop. Oh, I'm happy to hear it. Everything good? Liz?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you made a noise to me.
No.
Never mind. Okay. Just it's all good. I almost missed Western New Hampshire, Eastern Vermont. I didn't like the eastern side of Vermont as much. I'm from Rutland. I had lived in Woodstock. And again, as a poor kid living in Woodstock, basically every day you walk past mansions that are worth like 10 million bucks, but you're living in relative poverty. So it's a little bit different. Rutland is much more even because there's a fairly broad working and middle class there. It's not exactly rich people's place. Yeah, people keep talking about the Italian affidavit. I don't know much about that, but my assumption is if it was considerable and substantial, that'd be funny. Am I still live? I think I am. Testing. Hey everyone, am I still live?
You are.
I'm still live?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, I figured maybe Beijing Biden complained about the stream. I complain too much about the idea that multi-billionaires should tell me what I have to say. Yeah, Trump gets 2 coups. They're trying to impeach the dude, and it's like, well, if the Republicans are stupid enough not to hold the line and vote against that, I don't know what to tell them. At some point, the Republican Party deserves to die off. And they're not doing anything for me. They're not doing anything for any of you either. A bunch of morons is what they are. It's funny because we got 7,000 people watching, and in a few weeks ago, it was hard to get 2,000. Now, live streams actually appear to get through the blockade of information that Google is trying to put up. I don't know why. What about the Italian thing? I'm not even 100% sure, but it has to do with election machines or something. Yeah, maybe that's what triggered it. Google's algorithm decided to blank it out for a minute, just in case. Are you racially Czech? I do have some Czech ancestry, supposedly, on my mom's side. I'm not sure whether it's from Slovakia or the Czech Republic, though, because they were the same thing at the time, Czechoslovakia. I do, yes. Mostly I'm of English and Scottish origin, though, and some German. Supposedly I have one Abenaki ancestor, making me considerably more indigenous than Elizabeth Warren. You are in Europe and they don't pay attention to you. Oh, yeah, like Beijing Biden's people? No, I think they know that I'm an American. considering I've been on the platform for almost 13 years total. Yeah. All sorts of messages. Man, me and John McAfee were talking about this a while back from Red Guy, actually, on Twitter, actually. I'll still use it again to people who weren't here. I will still be using Twitter, but only as a DM machine for news tips. I'm no longer going to actively post or even share things out there because I don't want Dorsey. I want him to lose his money so I can hire him as a leak picker, as a turnip farmer in the future. When my Bitcoin's worth $10 million a pop, I'm going to buy a turnip farm and I'm going to employ him when he's penniless. No, I'll let him keep some of the turnips so he won't starve too. He could use it. I mean, he likes living like a hermit anyway, so I don't think that he'll mind if I give him a cuck shack or something. So I'll have Jack Dorsey and then Zuckerberg. You don't have to feed him because he's a robot, so it's a lot easier. He'll be way cheaper as an employee. And then we'll get Susan Wojcicki maybe in there too. I'll have her farm the flowers and stuff just to be like vaguely sexist, just to piss people off. The chat is on slow mode so they can censor it. No, the chat is on slow mode because otherwise it'd be going 1,000 miles a minute. Have you ever seen a chat that's not in slow mode and there's more than 1,000 people in the stream? Like this speed, this would be the speed it would go towards without slow mode if it was like 500 people. This is how fast it would go, maybe faster. And I tried using a more generous one. I tried using a 60-second slow mode and it didn't work. That was like the first one that I did last year. And it was definitely, it was still too fast by a significant margin. The left is cheering our big tech overlords. Yeah, all the septic sellouts and breadliners and grift leftists, they're happy about the prospect of billionaires telling them what they can and cannot say, up to and including the fact where they censor the president of the United States. It's pathetic. These people are bootlickers. The funny part is that they're also projecting, and they'll call you a bootlicker because you don't have a problem with Trump. They still think he's trying to stage a coup. Well, there is a coup being staged by billionaires. It's fucking obvious to anyone who's got the blinders off. They pulled back the curtain 2 days ago. Sliffwave, thoughts on Fuentes getting banned from DLive? It was inevitable. They're purging everyone. Fuck DLive too. Wait till BitChute has live streaming or Rumble. Then he can get on there. He's got a huge audience. And someone donated so much Bitcoin to him. Dude, you fucking cash out the Bitcoin. You got what, $300,000-$400,000? They're not going to be able to starve you to death. They're not going to be able to silence you in the normal way. Yeah. Yeah, remember Ashley Babbitt. Say her fucking name in chat. I call for this incidents of police brutality to be investigated by Congress, but it won't be because she had a MAGA hat on. Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that there are very many politicians that are controlled in a de facto sense by big tech and or Beijing based on the fact that they've done naughty things on the internet. I think that they have dirt on these people. I really do believe that. I think that what we're seeing now is partially prefaced on the fact that these corporations have platformed basically everyone who's run for office who has any tech presence for a long time. Why would Trump be exempt from this, you ask? He's never owned a computer. He doesn't do that. Other than shit posting on Twitter, he hasn't done anything tech related. He's a Luddite. He's more of a Luddite than me. Like, it's not even just the smartphone that he doesn't like. He doesn't even own a laptop. Remember early on in his presidency, people thought it was funny because he used a paper courier to take messages around, like it was the goddamn 1970s or something. I think that aged well. Nuclear power is actually better than wind, feasibly. The problem is, number one, if you have a disaster, the consequences are far more severe. A windmill breaks apart, explodes, maybe it hits someone, maybe it hits a vehicle, kills a couple cows. Nuclear plant explodes. You look at Fukushima or Chernobyl. The second problem is all of that refined material that's used as fuel had to be dug out of the ground with fossil fuel. They've got dump trucks as big as your goddamn house almost that go up and down those mines all day. They use a huge amount of oil, a huge amount of gas in order to refine the product. It's not clean energy. The cleanest energy that you have feasibly, I would suppose, is hydrothermal in nature. or hydroelectric. In seismic zones, they can drill down into the ground and they can get energy out of that. I saw once they had an experimental kind of energy where they had a dance floor with springs in it, and it was like a dynamo, and people dancing around would create a charge, and it would extract that. That's technically green energy. I don't know how efficient it is. I guess you could power a light bulb with the whole dance hall. They power their disco balls or something. Anyway, yeah, we are currently, this is the Coup live stream. There is a coup currently going on. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump staging one or any insurrection, and it has nothing to do with populism. It has to do with billionaires attempting to usurp the entire political system of the Western world by virtue of the fact that they are trying to silence anyone that disagrees with their beliefs. Their beliefs are globalism, socialism, essentially. They do not like populism because people might actually assert themselves, speak out against them, and want more of the pie. Well, they want you to be a slave. They want me to be a slave. I think they'll lose long term, but it's just a matter of how much suffering we have till we wise up and resist these morons. That's why I support alt tech. Links in the description, by the way. I passed 120,000 BitChute subscribers earlier, among other things. Gained about 2,000 on Rumble. Trump should lead People's Party as a replacement party. Yeah, if they remove him from office, he can't do jack shit. The problem is, of course, he can't run again. Will they be successful? Less than 50-50 chance. They'll impeach him, I think, over the next few days. I don't think that they have the votes to remove necessarily. Pence is standing in their way. Mike Pence, I feel sorry for Mike Pence, by the way, and I don't even like the dude. Like, I actually briefly was off the Trump train when he was chosen as running mate. But he did step up. Apparently, he and Trump fucking hate each other now, but he still refuses to invoke the 25th. Yeah, delete your Twitter accounts, by the way, if you can. Get rid of it, and Facebook, too. I can't delete YouTube because, it is a main platform. It's the only place I'm streaming at the moment, but, in the future, I'll probably get banned off it at some point. They'll change their rules in some bullshit way. They'll decide that you're not allowed to speak out against religion or, something like that. But yeah, I will be getting Proton Mail as well. So I'll be abandoning Gmail for most intents and purposes. I'm abandoning Twitter except as a DM machine. And then only because there are a lot of people that send me news tips even every day there. I'm not sure if they use other platforms. Yeah, I'm not going to delete my Twitter because if I'm not using it, it's not like they're generating any revenue. It's just there as a sore reminder with Trump's face, by the way, with a monocle and mustache on, a sore reminder that Twitter fucked itself. They're losing huge amounts of stock value right now, which is, they deserve it. Jack Dorsey needs to live under a bridge. He needs to be like the little people he keeps trying to deplatform and make life miserable for them. Yeah, I feel sorry for Mike Pence. He did all he could. You got to understand, and I pointed this out. Gohmert's case in SCOTUS was tossed. He didn't submit it for the right people, so there was never any chance Pence would assert that authority, because that authority, while it is implied, is not settled case. Even if he had asserted his authority, what would have happened is that Nancy Pelosi would have blocked him, called for immediate impeachment. The cowardly Republicans would have not held rank. They would have removed Trump and Pence on that day. You'd have Speaker Nancy Pelosi as temporary president, presiding oddly enough over the same proceedings. That's what would have happened. There was no realistic possibility of Pence doing that, because you don't have a binding full-on SCOTUS case or legislation defining every aspect of election counting. Should it be so vacuous and empty? No, I think you can make a case for the fact that it should have been settled a very long time ago. But because usually there's no significant claim of wrongdoing in an election, there was no reason to take up the case. You have to have a litigant. You have to have a plaintiff in order to even take up such a case. Well, if you don't have any problems with an election, you don't have a plaintiff, you can't do anything. SCOTUS can't just say, well, we're redefining the election law statutes unilaterally. Well, who's going to be the plaintiff? You have to have someone claim there's wrongdoing. This is why when people say, well, Kavanaugh is going to tear apart Roe v. Wade, it was bullshit. You have to have a plaintiff. You have to have an actual case before SCOTUS. It has to go through several iterations of court at the lower level before it even gets considered. VP Nixon counted Hawaii's alt electors in 1960. Well, that was a long time ago. Richard M. Nixon. By the way, Nixon triggers so many people, so he's not necessarily the greatest person to bring up for a point politically. By the way, I would never seek the presidency. Why would I want to set foot in D.C.? I'd feel dirty at some point. Yeah, Trump, to sum this up, I'm going to go offline. It's almost an hour and a half. I'm cooking shit. To sum this up, Trump did not call for insurrection. The Capitol riot was a riot, but it was not terrorism. The MSM is propagandizing to you. You need to support alt tech. Links in the description of my accounts. Make your own. Support alt tech. Try to coerce other creators into using alt tech platforms. Make them too big and too successful to censor. That way we can continue to have a free and open internet. Punish the big tech tyrants. Stop using their services if you can, or try to popularize their competitors if you can't. I'm doing the latter out of necessity as a main content creator. That's what you need to do. Consider the possibility of a nationwide strike, a work strike to starve the beast, essentially. Totally legal. There's no law saying you have to show up for work because the billionaires say that your political views suck. If tens of millions of Americans did that, I think it would get the point across. At the very least, it would help have a national conversation. Pressure Biden. Oddly enough, Beijing Biden's a weakling. He can be pressured to come to the table. He's already done the calling for unity shtick. Does it look like he's reigning over a unified movement at the moment? Even certain leftists are beginning to call him out for this. He's just stoking the flames by calling Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz Goebbels and stupid shit like that. He's a vacuous fuck. He's in bed with multi-billionaires, and essentially you're seeing a fascist coup at the moment. Not by Trump, not by Trump fans, not by Gadsden flag wavers who believe in God, guns, and glory and shit like that. You're seeing it from billionaires. They're the ones that are attempting to do that. And they're trying to assert their power over the elections, over the political system, because they want more money. It's all that they want power and money. They own half of Congress. That's why they're not in check. That's why 230 has not been reformed yet. That's why no meaningful attempt has been made to actually put the genie back in the bottle. They have dirt on these people and the others they control. There aren't that many people in Congress that haven't taken money from Zuckerberg. They pay them. Bernie Sanders, I don't think he took their money, but he's finally found billionaires he doesn't oppose because they're fucking around with Trump. He's happy about it because he's a goddamn sellout too. And by the way, heaps of mockery on all the septics and breadliners for their apologism for bootlicking. That's about all. Peace out.